Herman Manyora, finally, as we're wrapping up on the Deputy President, because we want to also touch on a very pertinent issue on the parliamentary system, which now the Council of Governors are saying will not really take that particular route, but will support the regional governments as proposed or is being proposed by the BBI as well. And then, of course, we know, Prof, you're the biggest proponent for the parliamentary system. So this should be a bit frustrating if the governors are not really, flying by what you really are proposing as well. Herman Manyora.
You know, if you look at the Deputy President, you can see some measure of desperation. I think he's a man under siege. That's why I do not support Orengo when he's bringing this issue of impeachment. Because you are now throwing a lifeline to a man who was already more or less finished. I don't wish him to be finished, but I'm only looking at the situation objectively as it is. Look here, if you look at, I've been telling people, as we say, somebody has a ground, which is true, he has a ground in some parts of this country, like Central. But since when did the ground determine many things? Sanders should have had the ground, because the issues he's raising are far much more serious to African Americans than what Joe Biden is raising, if Joe is raising anything. But you see, because those who make decisions, those who influence opinion, influence African Americans to go the Joe Biden way. And I was even giving another example about our 2010 Constitution. The church didn't want the Constitution, but Kenyans didn't vote with the church. Kenyans voted with their tribal leaders. So Ruto is a man under siege, because now all the leadership of all the main leaders of this country, who the people will eventually listen to, are already with. Look at Central, which has been a problem. All the governors were in Meru, okay? You saw Peter Kenneth for the first time, a shining star from that area, signaling the fact that now even that Central, there is almost no serious leader who is outside. You are only having left with Kavogo, who is here and here. You are only left with this other guy who, Kiunjuri, who doesn't have quite strong standing. All the big ones are already with the BBI. So this guy is already isolated. To begin and even bring things of impeachment, to me, I find them misplaced. But my bigger message to the leadership of this country, this is a time to look at the country as bigger. And I would advise them to sit together. You know, some of us talked about Raila and Uhuru meeting at a time it was very unpopular. But they eventually met, not because of us, but there were voices. Today, I want to be one of those people who are saying it is important that Uhuru and Raila talk with William Ruto. We find some national pathway. Because the way it is going is ugly. This man has been isolated. This man is desperate. If you want to know, look at the contradictions in some of this. When it serves him well, he says he's the deputy president. And you cannot, he's running government. Then the next time he's saying there's only one commander in chief. So he's distancing himself. Next time he's saying, you are talking about Kibicho. Kibicho is Ruto's employee. I mean, junior. Kibicho serves under Ruto. Is that right? So you can see this is a man who has been subjected to a lot of heat. And the best way to go, it is not to talk about impeachment. The best way to go about this thing is to find ways and means of bringing him on board, so that as Kenyans we work together. That this is the time. There's no other time. Let's not talk about. I'm advising those who are telling Ruto that soldier on, like Bogisha, soldier on to where? The roadblock is so thorough. There is no route for Ruto in 2022. It's been blocked. And that fighting can only bring friction in the country, which is not necessary. Because these guys have the power to block that path. And the path is almost effectively blocked. So the better way is for us to retreat as people.
It is blocked according to who?
According to my assessment. I'm just giving you an example.
Okay,
I have told you.
No, it's good to make
I've told you, I've told you our politics is tribal. Once you have all the tribal kingpins across the country, apart from Rift Valley, my friend, your path is almost blocked. That is a fact. You may argue, you may talk about the ground, but I'm telling you the ground is shaky. The ground is never certain. The ground moves according to the leaders. The leaders will begin stories, and the people will follow those stories, and they will desert you. So the best way for now is to accept that we have gotten to a point where if we go on like this, we are going to generate so much friction in the country. The best way is for Ruto,
Thank you,
Raila, and Uhuru to sit down and find some common ground. That's my thinking.
Okay, that's your thinking.